Wraith King might not be popular in this patch, but Beast Coast show us just how effective it can be played. God, you loved it. You just... Outsiders let it through twice, and Beast Coast show why they value that Wraith King so much to be first phase.
It's the hero when they first came into like the pro scene, made their mark on TI when they got a top 8 result. It was off of Hector's Wraith King. It's so like poetic that it's what brings it back here, playing at the major, a 5th, 6th result. And it's South America's a region, like that region that often gets kind of overlooked and doubted. When they first got given slots at majors, people were like, oh, you know, 2 slots for SA. Like, but here they are playing at a major, and they've got the whole crowd behind them. This team is just insane.
Especially against such a notable team like Outsiders. Outsiders did great during that DPC. They were looking like one of the best from Eastern Europe, and Beast Coast just dismantled that, Jenkins.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people pick Outsiders in their top 3, actually, for like predictions to win the entire event. And I feel like Beast Coast they're just the team, they love to play up against that.
Yeah,
they
love being the
to have
underdog.
their backs against the wall. It's like they make themselves the underdogs. Every event they do well, but going into the event, everybody's like, oh yeah, Beast Coast, they'll do fine. It's like they get top 6. You know what I mean? But it's because they put themselves in that situation where they lose the first game, it's a shellacking, and you're like, oh man, they're done. This is Outsiders. They're like a top 3 team. Beast Coast is done. And then they just do this game 2 and 3. It's insane.
I think the Beast Coast just came more prepared for their opponent than Outsiders did. I think that they recognize Outsiders as a team that's, while they are a faster, more aggressive team, they still lean heavily towards greed. Like 2-3 Midases every game. I don't know what you call that other than greed. And when you play up against greed, whether it's a specific team or a meta as a whole, you have 2 options. You either try to outgreed the greed with, you know, mass team fight and scaling, or you do what Beast Coast did, you just turn up the heat and you go at them. And I think there's a higher degree of risk involved with trying to outpace your opponents like that. But it pays off, and it was really cool to see, and especially with the the Hector Wraith King back-to-back games.
It's a classic.
Just the cherry on top.
Go ahead, Jack.
Take a whiff of that. This right here, this is Chris Luck's Sacred Nectar. He handed this to me, and I have good news about that. I have great news. For all the way back at the Animajor, and every event, he's handed me something.
Oh, here we go, we're zoomed in.
He's handed me something absolutely goofy. I'm actually kind of thirsty, so this is a little bit less goofy. And they've won the next series. Every time he loafs me with something and hands me something, they win the next series. So
So you're saying they're going to win the next one against
They're
MG?
winning the next one.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was such a great bit, Jenkins. Thank you so much for derailing
Yeah, I'll be here all week.
Yeah, unfortunately. Now, guys, I do want to hear from you, though. There just wasn't any space for Outsiders to be able to catch up, right? This Jug really got shut down in lane.
Yeah, when you have such a bad laning stage, it feels like going for triple Midas is just a little bit too much. I think Husky's kind of spot on there. It's just like, sometimes you're going to tone back a little bit on that greed. And I think the mid Invoker was a great last pick to try and salvage their draft as far as running around with like this Vessel and Quaswex and stuff, but they just couldn't fill the gaps of basically having too many heroes that need too much farm. I think particularly the Doom pick, 2 games in a row. I thought after losing with it game 2 against the Wraith King, they would go away from in game 3. Definitely, I think that's going to be something that they regret when it comes to, like, you know, walking away with the loss here, being eliminated. They're probably going to be telling themselves, yeah, we probably shouldn't have gone for this Doom 2 games in a row.
We see match MVP is Whisper on the Veno. This is now the second game today that we've seen off-lane Veno work. So I have to pose the question, have we figured out how to make position 3 Veno viable now in this patch?
I think 2 things. Number 1, I think Beast Coast kind of figured out Outsiders how to punish the Skywrath 5. I think the reason that Veno works out is partly because of that. Jug usually is pretty good against Veno in lane, and I did want to say, in this game, I think Beast Coast actually just like strategically outplayed Outsiders. Like the one move where they all die going high ground, they come back because they still have the Aegis, and they just choose to go high ground against it. Yo, you guys just got wiped doing that. But they do it again. They take the racks.
Shows a lot of confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And then taking Roche when they were down 4 versus 5, because they're like, okay, if we let them get this Roche, they come back into the game. Like, those 2 moves basically made it so Outsiders, like, they had no opening into the game, because those were the openings.
Yeah, it's cool that like they had some draft stuff, but they just straight up outplayed them too. Like, even, I mean, our MVP Whispers Venom, he got rotated on by the Invoker and was like juking them in the trees, completely busted their smoke gank, and it was just so cool to see some of these outplays.